he is not technically omniscient. He is able to perceive his own past, present, and future simultaneously. Now, Dr. Manhattan—
nah, see, that's the shit I'm talking about, bro. Like, what? Dr. Manhattan. Heard a lot of things, a lot of crazy shit, how OP is, but let's see more into detail.
Installment of our Beyond
Let's
Omega
see.
Level series, where we break down the most powerful characters in comics. And you know, sometimes I look at the characters we've covered and I'll just be shocked when I notice characters that I can't believe we haven't covered already. And that happened this week when I noticed that we never covered Dr. Manhattan in Beyond Omega Level. So we need to change that. So Dr. Manhattan was created by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons and first appeared in Watchmen #1 in 1986. Now, like the rest of the Watchmen characters, Dr. Manhattan was based on a character from Charlton Comics. In this case, Dr. Manhattan was based in part on Captain Atom, a character who would later make his way to DC Comics
Captain
along with
Atom.
several other Charlton characters, and a character we have covered on Beyond Omega Level before, if you want to check that out. Now, ultimately, both Moore and DC editorial decided it'd be better to use original characters instead of Charlton characters, and so the Watchmen were born. Now, Dr. Manhattan's real name is John Osterman, who was born in 1929, and whose father was—
Damn, 1929? Shit. God damn.
a watchmaker,
That's
which is also
great
what John
grandpa,
plans
bruh.
to become. But when the US drops the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan at the end of World War II, John's father pushes him towards a career in nuclear physics. And so John gets a PhD from Princeton and begins a career in nuclear physics where he meets a woman named Janie Slater, who he basically falls in love with. Now, one fateful day, John ends up leaving his watch inside the test chamber of an experiment that he's working on and goes back in to get it. John's locked in the chamber and the experiment engages, which results in John seemingly being disintegrated. Now, over the next—
Wait. So he dropped a watch in there and he went and wait, hold on.
named Janie Slater, who he basically
Yeah,
falls in
yeah,
love
yeah.
with. Now, one fateful day, John ends up leaving his watch inside the
Leaving
test
his
chamber of an
watch.
experiment that he's working on and goes back in to get it. John's locked in the chamber and the experiment engages, which results in John seemingly being disintegrated.
No way this is how he turned OP, bruh. Leaving his watch during an experiment. What? Dr. Manhattan pull up to DC and solo everyone. Yeah, he would.
The next few months, however, John's body reforms itself and eventually he reappears fully intact, but looking quite different with a glowing blue body and a set of superpowers. Now, one of the questions you guys are probably asking here is, Rob, how does a person learn things like nuclear physics? How does a person become that smart? Well, I'll tell you exactly how. You know, it's been a little while. I know you guys know it's coming. The way you learn stuff like that is using Skillshare. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Now, I'm not aware of things to kind of keep in mind that as a self, this course is voice, and it's not an actual person. What this course does— what's going on, guys? My name's Rob, and you don't sound unsure. The trial of Skillshare, so that you can start exploring your creativity today. So make sure you guys check the link in the description. Having said that, let's get—
Listen, did not he draw the balls and everything? What the hell? Yeah, I did peep that.
back into our video on Dr. Manhattan. So after that crazy experiment that turned John into Dr. Manhattan, he goes and works for the US government, and he actually starts calling himself Dr. Manhattan, which is a nod to the Manhattan Project, which developed the first atomic bomb. But Dr. Manhattan proves to be invaluable to the US during the Cold War, and his presence in Vietnam gives the Americans a swift victory in the conflict as opposed to the real world where we basically just went running with our tail between our legs. But he's also responsible for multiple technological advances, including allowing the US to transition from gas-powered engines to electric. However, other countries see Dr. Manhattan as a threat and begin to build up their nuclear arsenals in response. Now, Dr. Manhattan would also join the group known as the Crime Busters, a group of costumed heroes including Laurie Jaspezic, the Silk Spectre.
Man, that sound lame as hell, bro. Like, let's just take a real look at them. Who's like the really clean? This man looked like a bootleg Captain America. This man, like, what is these pants right here? This dude, I feel a little alright, I ain't gonna lie. And who's this, like, is this a butterfly looking bitch? Oh, nah. Also, he's the reason why Flashpoint happened? Oh, shit.
The Crime Busters, a group of costumed heroes, including Laurie Jaspezic, the Silk Spectre, who Dr. Manhattan ends up dating. Now, after allegations that exposure to Dr. Manhattan caused former friends and co-workers, including his ex-girlfriend Janie, to basically develop cancer, John leaves Earth and goes to Mars. Now, there's other reasons for that too, because basically John is just tired of humanity and is ready to just leave the Earth and go somewhere else. He's very misanthropic in that way when you think about it. But the Soviet Union capitalizes on his absence and invades Afghanistan, which brings the Earth to the brink of nuclear war, which threatens the existence of mankind. Now, initially, he has no interest in helping mankind because he sees the end of humanity as just a really good thing. But Silk Spectre convinces him to return to Earth, where he finds out the whole cancer thing was a lie made up by his former teammate Ozymandias, who has become a revered public figure, but who has killed a lot of people to try to avoid World War III, which he successfully does. And honestly, I can't say that it was a bad thing. I mean, sure, is it sad? But it's time for another episode of Yes, but Maybe. Yes, it's sad that he killed a lot of people. Yes, it's sad those people died, but maybe it was worth it to avoid a third world war that would have involved the end of mankind. So having said that, rather than punish Ozymandias for killing half of New York City, Dr. Manhattan vaporizes another former teammate, Rorschach, who threatens to reveal the truth about Ozymandias because Manhattan believes revealing the truth would actually lead to more conflict. Following this, Dr. Manhattan leaves Earth to find a less complicated galaxy or universe or what have you, and that was the last time we ever saw him, or it would be if Alan Moore had gotten his way, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Now, first we need to go over Dr. Manhattan's powers, and the thing that makes him so powerful is his ability to manipulate matter at a subatomic level, which effectively means that he can do anything he wants. He can alter his size to massive heights and can create a seemingly limitless number of copies of himself, each of which can function independently of one another at the same time. So he can be pretty much everywhere at once. He can teleport himself and others at will, possesses telekinesis, and as we alluded to earlier, can disintegrate others with a mere thought. Although he is not technically omniscient, he is able to perceive his own past, present, and future simultaneously. Now, Dr. Manhattan...
see, that's the shit I'm talking about, bro. Like, what? This way he can see the past, future, present, and then, clones of himself. This nigga got everything. Vaporize everybody. What the hell?
Has made the claim that he can sense tachyons, which are hypothetical particles that move faster than the speed of light, and he has hypothesized that he has the ability to create human life should he desire to do that. Now, as I said earlier, if Alan Moore had his way, we would never have seen Dr. Manhattan again after the events of the 12-issue Watchmen series, but because of the terms of his contract with DC, they actually own the characters and can use them in other books if they want. Now, for over 25 years, DC honored Alan Moore's wishes and didn't publish any books using the Watchmen characters, but that changed in 2012 when they released a series of prequel comics called Before Watchmen, which explained the origins of most of the characters, and we've already talked about the stuff that it added to Dr. Manhattan's origin. While Before Watchmen was controversial since Alan Moore had nothing to do with writing the stories, and when I say controversial, I mean there were some grumblings, in 2016, DC made the even more controversial decision, which again, more grumblings, to bring the Watchmen characters into the main DC universe with their Rebirth initiative. This should come as no surprise to anybody with DC doing this, because as DC has routinely brought characters from other universes into the DC universe proper. Now, they brought in Charlton characters that we talked about earlier.
You said Buggy, Sheer Aura versus Dr. Manhattan, who wins? Dr. Manhattan fucking solo fucking vaporizes shit. I ain't gonna lie, you ain't gonna hear nothing about Buggy. Let me see. Oh shit. What's good, Chaos? Damn, I ain't even keep that shit.
Earlier, and after they merged the Vertigo, Wildstorm, and Milestone universes with the DC universe as well, it was only a matter of time before they did the same with the Watchmen. And that's important to our discussion of Dr. Manhattan, because the introduction of the Watchmen into the DC universe was really just a way to see Dr. Manhattan fight DC superheroes. So what we find out is that it was actually Dr. Manhattan that was responsible for the reboot of the DC universe that occurred with the launch of the New 52. When he became aware of the DC universe, Dr. Manhattan tried to correct the DC timeline to avoid a potential third world war. So he orchestrated the Flashpoint event that would see Barry Allen merge the DC, Wildstorm, and Vertigo universes and reboot the entire DC universe. Now,
there's a Dr. Manhattan movie, right? I feel like, there is, right? I need to tune into that, or a show.
Manhattan was also responsible for trapping Wally West in the Speed Force, along with several other Flash characters that had been seemingly erased from existence in the New 52 relaunch. But Manhattan alters the DC universe in other ways as well, like setting up a meeting between Bruce Wayne and his father Thomas Wayne from the Flashpoint universe and saving Jor-El from death following the destruction of the planet Krypton. Now, both of these were attempts to try and get the fathers of DC's two most prominent heroes to convince their sons to give up the mantles and stop saving people, but neither of them worked. We also end up hearing from some really powerful DC characters that have encountered Dr. Manhattan and relate how powerful he is, such as the Reverse Flash Eobard Thawne, who likens Manhattan to God, which was just an amazing moment just in the button. You guys remember that? Like when Flashpoint like takes off, like he grabs a button or whatever it is, he ends up taking off, he encounters Dr. Manhattan off panel, he comes back and he's like, God, I saw God.
Yo, nah, I need to see this like live action movie type shit. Isn't it Watchmen? That movie came out in 2009. Damn, yeah, I want to watch that.
And then just disintegrates, just dies, and it's just like, wow, like when that story came out, it was mind-blowing when it happened. Of course, the same thing also happens with Mr. Mxyzptlk, who is, it's Mr. Mxyzptlk. I just don't feel like pronouncing his name because it's just more of a pain in the ass than it's worth, but he's an extremely powerful reality warper in his own right, and admits that his power pales in comparison to that of Dr. Manhattan. Now, everything comes to a head during the Doomsday Clock event, which is where we finally get to see Dr. Manhattan take on the DC universe. And I'm not even going to begin to explain the events of Doomsday Clock here because that would take forever, and I've already covered it in a series of videos that you can just go back and watch. But one of the big moments is when almost every superhero in the DC universe, minus Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, confront Dr. Manhattan on Mars. And this group includes Martian Manhunter, multiple Green Lanterns, Captain Atom, the Flash, Shazam.
So this was on some like Thanos shit, like what? Nah, DC could go crazy with these movies, bruh. Damn.
Ton of heavy hitters, and they're all utterly powerless to do anything to Dr. Manhattan. Even when Captain Atom seemingly vaporizes Manhattan, he reappears seconds later and then incapacitates the whole group. Now, unfortunately, we don't get a showdown between Dr. Manhattan and Superman because Manhattan observes Superman's heroism and is inspired to undo a lot of the changes that he made in reality in creating the New 52 universe before returning to his home universe and giving his Earth all his energy in order to restore it, erasing himself from existence in the process. You heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. The entirety of Doomsday Clock was, well, hopefully, I don't remember if Jeff Johns said that Superman and Dr. Manhattan were going to fight. I think he said they weren't, but I think as the fan base, we just decided they would, and then we just got mad when they didn't, even though we were told they wouldn't. But I really did want to see a fight between Dr. Manhattan and Superman, even though I know full well Superman wouldn't win.
Yeah, he wouldn't. There's no chance Superman winning. I ain't gonna. There ain't no chance Superman beating Dr. Manhattan. Man, they could have made this they could make a fire-ass movie out there.
Still would have been cool. But now that we've covered Dr. Manhattan, and honestly, we couldn't have a list of Beyond Omega level characters that didn't include him, we now have the role he played in the creation of the DC Universe as we know it. But let me know what you guys think. Right? Did you enjoy seeing Dr. Manhattan in the DC Universe, or should DC have just left him alone, like Alan Moore wanted? As always, make sure you guys leave a comment.
Sheesh. Yeah, learn a lot more about Dr. Manhattan.